Hi everyone, so today I thought I would play with this palette. This is the Coloured Raine Power palette. It is basically a purple palette, purple berry toned palette. It's in collaboration with the show Power, which I've not watched myself, but I like the colour story in here. It's one of the many things I bought during my confinement. Definitely did not need this. Today I thought it'd be fun to maybe try doing all of these shades on my eyelid, because why not? I feel like this palette definitely has tones in here that I think could go all together on the lid. It's definitely a deep palette. It's definitely for a person of color. I can see that because all the shades in here are mid-tone to deep, save for Legacy, which is a light kind of duochrome shade. It's got a pink shift in it. But I thought it might be a fun way to try this palette out. Since, I don't know, I feel like I haven't heard many people talk about this palette. Again, because my fringe is super long, I'm going to put my headband on. People have been asking me about this headband. It's from Japan. It's from Studio Ghibli. This is Gigi from Kiki's delivery service. Gigi? Yes, I think that's her name. And it's a really good headband. It keeps my hair off my face because I do need to get a cut. So, primer. Eyes Limit Primer from Hard Candy. I've been using this quite a lot and it does the job. If you hear kind of loud breathing, it's because Max is sleeping on his playmat. Well, he's kind of half asleep, half awake. He's a cute little thing, doesn't move. Don't have to chase him like I do my other kid. What shade to use? I don't know. I think I'm gonna do a gradient eye look. So we're gonna start off with the lighter shade going to deep, and then we're gonna add the metallics on top. So I'm gonna start with Betrayal, which is this gorgeous shade here. It's beautiful. Put that on the inner part of the eyelid. As usual, Coloured Raine eyeshadows, super pigmented straight off the bat. I've not watched the show, so this shade is called Betrayal, so it must relate to the show in some way. I feel like that's what I've heard a lot of people mention when they talk about this palette, is that they don't really know what the show is about, but that they like the tones in here. I'm gonna take that into the inner corner as well a little bit, and just blend that out with this giant brush. Sometimes I do find Coloured Raine eyeshadows a little too pigmented, and they can take a little bit to blend out. I guess it's personal preference. Some people like that, some people don't. Then I'm gonna take Deception, which is the slightly deeper shade. Put that next to Betrayal. It'll be interesting to see how they layer. They kind of look like the same shade, to be honest, when layering them. I'm taking this up a little bit higher because I want to put the metallics on top. It is kind of doing a little bit of a weird thing on my eye. Hopefully when I put the metallics on top, it's gonna look a bit better. Next we're gonna go in with, I think I'll go in with Snitch, this one. I do have to say that on the eyelid, they all kind of look a little bit similar. What do you think? I don't really see too much of a nuance on the eyelid. I don't know, maybe when I look at the footage on the camera, I'll be able to see it a bit better, but when I'm looking in this mirror, all these purples look very similar. I'm not sure how I feel about this already. I honestly feel like it looks like I've used the same purple all over the eyelid, and this is also very super powdery, so I haven't got any fallout, but it is powdery in the pan. Okay, next, last one I'm gonna take is, I'm gonna take Testify on the outer V, and that's the matte shade here at the bottom right hand corner. My CHIKUHODO brush, just out here. I feel like these purples are kind of blending weird and looking a little patchy. I feel like I had similar issues with the singles. They were super pigmented and definitely work better kind of packed on rather than requiring a lot of blending. I'm one of those people that if I don't have to blend for a very long time, that's what I prefer. I'm lazy when it comes to makeup. I like ease of application and something that kind of blends itself, and this definitely requires more effort than I'd like. But yeah, you can definitely tell that this shade does have more depth than the others, but I feel like, I don't know, it looks patchy to me. I'm gonna take a different blending brush. I think this one is a bit too large. I've got this Refa 01 brush. I'm just gonna blend out the edges. Hopefully it's gonna look a little bit better. I feel like I've gone really way up high with this one. But anyway, we can clean it up later. I don't know how I feel about this so far. Now let's add the shimmers on top. I'm going to use a dry brush to begin with. Let's just see how that goes. And then if I need to wet my brush, then I will, or add glitter glue. So I'm going to start with Legacy. I'm going to add that in the inner corner. This is the duochrome. And add that in here. Ooh, that is pretty. I like that. That is really pretty. Let's just kind of transform the shades underneath really nicely. It's a very pretty inner corner shade. Also, this brush is dry, so it's going on really well without the aid of any mixing medium or anything like that, which is great because that's what I prefer with a shimmer, ones that don't need help. On top of that, I'm going to go in with Respect right next to that. Swirl my brush around. This is the 225 brush from Zoeva. On top, right next door. It looks kind of more blue. This, I think, is this a duochrome? Yes, it is. It is a duochrome. Okay. Can you see that kind of blueness to it? It's kind of, again, transformed that shade because we're layering it on top of this other matte shade. And next to that, we're going to go in with Truth. This is kind of like a royal purple. The metallics apply very nicely. Then I'm also going to just blend that in with the shade that we had before, just so that they kind of blend next to each other seamlessly. Then next to that, I'm going to take the deepest metallic shade, and that's Alibi here. It's kind of like a blackened plum shade. It's not overly metallic. Just going to blend it out as well. Same blending brush from Refa. And wow, this looks like a super dramatic purple eye look, which I'm not sure is for everyone, but it certainly is a statement eye look. Okay, and the only shade I haven't used so far is Revenge. So I think I'm gonna add that maybe on the lower lash line. Yes, let's try that there. I don't usually add a metallic shade on the lower lash line. I mean, I do every now and again, but it's not my initial instinct. And again, this in the pan looks like a copper. On the lid, it's looking a lot more pink. This is obviously more dramatic than I usually go for. A little bit of fallout as well, so, but nothing overly concerning. So I'm just gonna wipe that off. Okay, so I'm gonna do the rest of my face, get changed, and then I'm gonna evaluate if I wanna do anything more to this look. That's usually my process. Okay, so this is the final look. It's super dramatic, so I thought let's pair them with some dramatic earrings. They're from one of my favorite brands, Sarah and Sebastian. I think that's the name. I always get confused with the band, Belle and Sebastian and Sarah and Sebastian. They're an Australian brand. I get a lot of questions about these earrings, and that's where they're from. They're really beautiful. So I paired this look with KIKO Milano Long Lasting Eyeshadow Stick, just in the waterline. It's got a really gorgeous duochrome to it as well, just like the one on the lash line, although it's of a different vein. And then on the lips, I've got a Suqqu lip gloss, and this is in Milk Tea Beige, I think that's what it's called. It's gorgeous. I love this shade so much. And on the cheeks, I did want to add a little bit more warmth to the cheeks. And this is the Hourglass shade Radiant Light. I've actually panned this before in the Ambient Lighting Trio, so I really love this shade. Once I finished it, I bought the single because I love this shade. It's my perfect sun-kissed glow to the skin kind of shade. I love it. And yeah, this is the look. My impressions, because this is obviously the first time I've used it, I did not really get along with the mattes. I don't think the mattes blended out very easily. Like, I feel like there are kind of edges around the outer V, which I don't feel like are blended very well, and no matter how much I kind of go in and try and move it, it does not kind of budge. So I definitely feel like you can go overboard really quickly, so just really be careful with tapping your brush into the pan, because I feel like I've just got too much eyeshadow on and the blend is not the best. Like, it's not as I would like it to be, but I think it looks fine. It looks good enough. I do recall the Vivid Brights to have similar issues. The metallics are nice. I really do like them. And there's definitely not as much kick up as the matte shades. I will say that a lot of these shades in this palette surprised me. They turned out really differently on the eyelids than it did just looking them in the pan. Like, Respect is a stunning duochrome shade, but you can't really tell when is that a terrible swatch? You can't really tell looking at it in the pan straight away, but it does have a really nice kind of shift to it. Same with the Revenge. Off the bat, it looks like a copper shade, but actually this reminds me a little bit of VR Nectar. It's got that kind of coppery peachiness to it, and it's actually really beautiful. So those two shades really surprised me. Even Legacy, I feel like Legacy is a shade that looks stunning laid on top of something else, like it does in the inner corner. I feel like it looks really beautiful. Truth, I feel like we've seen this kind of shade before. It's nice, but it's nothing, you know, revolutionary. And Alibi, which is a blackened plum, I think it does add a nice depth to it. I didn't actually mind the shade in the palette. But yeah, the mattes, I don't know. I don't feel like these mattes are the easiest to work with. Even swatching it, can you see that it's kind of chalky, very dry, very powdery. These are not my ideal mattes. These are kind of like boom, pigment, and then you need to take your time with blending out. So it really depends on personal preference. Some people like this kind of formula because I know heaps of people love the Vivid Brights, but for me, I prefer kind of slowly building things up. So you just don't go overboard too quickly and then spend like 2, 3, 5 minutes blending it out. Like I said, I like quick, easy application, and these mattes are not it for me. I don't feel like it's a complete fail of a palette because obviously I do like the end result. I just feel like it took a lot of work to get here. I do like Coloured Raine eyeshadows overall. Not my favorite one. Did I need this palette? No, I didn't. Should I have bought this palette? Probably not. Let me know if you picked this up. Is this kind of a color story you're attracted to, or did you kind of pass on a minute because you've already got these shades? Hopefully you enjoyed this. I want to do more of this kind of challenge where I try and put all of it on my eye. I think that would be really fun. Like I'm thinking the Lime Crime Venus 1 palette, I think it was a Venus 1 or 2, the grungy one. That would be really cool, I think, using all those shades on the eye at the same time, because it's another palette I haven't used for ages. I kind of like seeing how a palette can be used on its own and using all the shades. I feel like it's a real test of how cohesive a palette can be. So yeah, I do feel like all the shades do go on the eyelid really well together in terms of color story. Like I said, look, it's a nice little palette. I just didn't need it and I didn't need to buy it. But yeah, after this month of confinement, I definitely am slowing right down with buying makeup. I do not need to buy anything else. This is the time of the year where brands bring out so much makeup, and there's all this new makeup that I really want, but I'm gonna hold off because I've got some major purchases coming up, because we are doing a lot of home kind of upgrades, and a lot of that takes a lot of money. So like I said, I will be doing that confinement haul, but that's probably going to be the last haul I'll be doing in a while, because we've got things that we need to prioritize in our lives. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.